All right, boys. So yesterday we went over this article with all the balance changes they listed. But what I also said is that there were a ton of balance changes that they didn't list. And I also confirmed that there were so many other cards that did not make the cut in this article. As you can see, there's only 7 cards in this article. I think the trades are pretty accurate, but there's only 7 cards. When in reality, it was more like maybe 60 to 70% of all the cards that were actually reworked. So today we're going to go through some of those secret balance changes. And for these secret balance changes, I asked my favorite Indian boy, Daksh. Where is he? Right here. Daksh, BLDDLD. And what he did is the owner of merchtactics.gg got all the data, compared the previous season stats to this season stats. This Indian boy took that and he compared it and he told me the things that he found. So shout out to this, my favorite Indian boy. Now, I will say that this list isn't comprehensive, but there were a lot of important cards that he found that were changed. So starting off, in general, I think most of the cards, if not all the cards, actually got reworked. So the actual stat increase they have between levels is actually decreased now. And what I mean by that is that the strength of each card will increase less. So for example, let's say a Goblin, if he goes from a 1-star to a 2-star, his old HP growth was by 100%, so he'd basically have double the HP, but now his increased HP is 60%, so he's now getting 60% more HP. So the gap, the jump, I guess you could say, is a lot smaller. And the Goblin's damage is going from a 60% increase per level to a 40% increase. So as you can see, it is a bit lower. Also, I just showed my pit hair, my bad. But basically what we know of is the Goblin, Bard, Musketeer, Valkyrie, Prince, Dark Goblin, Goblin Machine, and Golden Knight is from the list. All of those have different stat boosts per star level. So now they're not increasing as much in all these stat areas as they did in last season. So this is sort of a nerf to the Spirit Empress actually, because now there's no increase. The increase isn't as big between the star levels. So now if a Spirit Empress gets like a 2-star, that won't have as much of an impact as it did last season against like a Kingfire that maybe won't have that 2-star. But look, if that didn't make any sense, all you need to know that for some cards, 2 and 3 stars were nerfed. But starting off now with the more obvious balance changes, we have the Goblins. His old hit speed was 0.76 seconds, but now his new hit speed, as you can see right here, is 1 second. So that is a 32% increase in hit speed. So basically, he's attacking much slower. So that's a huge nerf. Next up, the Barbarian's hit speed was also increased. So it used to be 1.0, now it's 1.25. So he's also attacking much more slowly, which is a nerf to him. Third, we have the Skeleton Dragons, and okay, this is gonna be a big one. This is for level 16, by the way. So old HP was 460. New one is 650. Mine says 630, but I have level 15 Skeleton Dragons. So that's a 41% increase in his HP. The Skeleton Dragon's old damage was 85. New damage is 104. That's a 22% increase. And then the old attack speed was 1.25. New hit speed is 1.42. So that's going to be a bit of a nerf, but the other areas, health, huge increase, damage, huge increase. So that's why the Skeleton Dragons are feeling a lot stronger. Also, the Skeleton Dragons are bugged right now where the 3-stars actually clone at full HP instead of, losing the HP. So that's also contributing to it. But either way, Skeleton Dragons are way better. Next up is the Wizard. Now, his old hit speed was 1.25. His new hit speed is 1.42. So he's attacking. That's a change of plus 14%. I'll say that first. Meaning that he's attacking way more slowly, which is kind of weird because I felt that the Wizard was stronger this season. I guess that's probably just due to his traits. And then we have the Valkyrie. So this one's also pretty long. Her old HP was 1354. New HP is 1124, which checks out because I have a max level Valkyrie. That is a minus 17% change in HP. That is pretty huge. Next up, her old damage was 135. New damage is 149, so a 10% increase in damage. And her old attack speed is 1.66. New hit speed 2.0, 20% increase. That's why I swear to God, I was like, the Valkyrie's attacking way more slowly. That's why. Okay, now this one is also really huge. The Witch. Old HP 756. New HP, 1063, 41% increase in HP. Like, hello? We're not done yet, though. Old damage, 116. New damage, 176. 52% increase in damage. And then, because of those huge increases, we'd expect, like, a nerf somewhere, right? Old attack speed, 2.0. New attack speed, 1.66. 17% decrease, meaning she attacks faster. I mean, these are all significant buffs. I hope that maybe Daksh got something wrong with the stats, but if not, like, this is just a blatant buff. Like, that's ridiculous. And then this is the crazy thing. Skeleton King. Old damage, 192. New damage, 152. 21 decrease. Like, that is just, that's crazy. First off, we give this guy the worst trait of all time, and then we also nerf his damage by 21%. Look, if he still had the Brutalist trait, that's fair. But he's a warrior trait. Like, what is this? And then finally, we have the Monk, 0.9 old attack speed. I gotta get to the stats. New attack speed, 1 second. So that's an 11% increase in hit speed. So he's attacking a bit slower. That one's not too huge, but it is a pretty sizable nerf, I guess. All right, so those are all the nerfs and all the changes. I guess they're not all nerfs, but those are all the ones that I know of. So now I just want to talk about these balance changes overall. And this is actually a really important thing. This is not just like your typical balance changes video where it's like, I think this card will be good. I think this card will be bad. No. This is different, okay? So basically, this is all part... This has a huge impact. Also, are we going to win? Okay, we actually won because of the Goblin Demolisher interaction, which I'll take. But there probably are maybe a few other cards that we missed. But I think those are some of the most important ones. Also, Golden Knight sort of did get a little bit of a buff maybe because his damage increases higher. I didn't mention that, but that one's like not as big of a change, I guess. But basically, if you guys realize, a lot of the nerfs essentially were to the attack speed. So now all the troops are just going to be attacking much more slowly. And what this actually does is it actually makes the games a lot more slow paced because they're just all attacking more slowly. But it's not like a huge nerf to any like specific cards. Also 3-star is really good. Also, I'm like struggling because I'm really trying to like merge while I talk. But it's not huge nerfs to any individual cards. I mean, some of them obviously they were pretty sizable nerfs, but what they're doing is they're basically decreasing the speed of every card. So it's not like one card's getting targeted. Now every card's attacking more slowly, and this is creating more slower paced games. So if you guys have noticed that your games, also this guy's top 100. So I guess, okay, respect to that guy, I guess. But what was I saying? If you guys are realizing that your games feel a lot more slow paced, it's not just you. It's something intentional they did, it looks like, because they just nerfed like all the cards, attack speeds in particular, which was the most sort of noticeable difference, I guess. And honestly, I don't really know how to feel about this. Do I think it's like a really good or like bad change? Honestly, I don't really know. Like, I don't really think it was like necessary because I think that when games become too slow paced, they can become pretty boring. And this is something I noticed a lot of people saying as well. Like, when games are just too slow paced, you know, you just kind of naturally lose interest, right? Because a lot of times you're just spending just sort of sitting back, watching the game, not really doing anything yourself. Also, really quickly though, this guy has the best comp. Can we do this? Queen in the front. Can we snipe? I heard this comp is really good. I tried this comp. This is actually a pretty good comp against this particular comp. But we needed to push away his giant skeleton. I think he actually wins that, even though it looks like we won. But I don't really think it was necessarily good or needed. I don't know. I feel like it's better if... Wait, 1 HP clutch! Oh my god, our queen's actually the GOAT. But I don't think it was necessarily good. Like, I don't really know why they did that. I feel like the devs, though, for Merge, like, no glaze, I think the devs are pretty smart, so they usually have, like, good reasoning behind their decisions, in my opinion. But I'm pretty curious to hear the reasoning behind that one. Either way, though, I don't really think it affects anything too much. I think the bigger thing is that a lot of these cards need balancing after those changes, like the Witch. As you guys have seen, the Witch had huge... also, let's... Is it going to go for the Queen? I think it might go for the... No, it's going for the Giant. Okay. So, also just like a little note, how it works is if 2 cards are equidistant from your opponent's cards, your opponent's card will go for the left one. So that's how I knew that. I'm also just the freaking GOAT at everything, and I'm really intelligent. But a lot of these cards need balancing. I hope they come out with emergency nerfs like the Witch, because if you guys remember, unless like the stats are wrong, if the stats are wrong, like that's fair. Also, do I need to block Navy Prince? Maybe. I mean, to be fair, I think we won. But yeah, some cards like the Witch just got blatant buffs, and now the Witch is definitely a top 3 card, if not the top 1 card in the game. I will say, though, part of that is due to the fact that she's bugged. Now her skeletons have way more HP than they're supposed to have. But either way, even without the bug, the Witch is still very powerful due to that new difference. 2 goblins, W start. What is this? Troop becomes immune to damage. Okay, I've actually never played this mod before. Let's put this on the Stab Goblin. That makes most sense intuitively. This guy is going to do this. Okay, that's fine. I mean, we get double goblins, we'll survive here. But a lot of changes. And look, I think the meta last season was great. Balancing was awesome. When they roll out with big balance changes like this, it just, like, it can create a lot of big problems, which we do have right now. So hopefully they address some of these problems and emergency nerf a lot of these cards. Other than that, though, a lot of cards they nerfed are just going to be complete dookie buns, in my opinion. Like the Skeleton King. I mean, the Skeleton King, he... First of all, also, okay, I put the Maiden Shield in the Royal Giant. I guess that's not, like, the worst, because he'll still tank the shots. I don't know, but... I mean, the Skeleton King is pretty useless now, I would say. The only way you'd use him is for the full undead comp because you need the trait. But then again, it's quite ironic to say that the Skeleton King is the worst card in that comp because he's literally a 5 elixir troop. So that's kind of a bit weird to say. Let's go for the Muskie here. And I think I probably will go for that Superstar comp again. I mean, we have the double giant, so there's really no reason not to. We also have a Musketeer, so we have a pretty good start for that comp. But our RG does get the Maiden Shield. I'm also trying to push to Diamond. I think I'm like 28 something. 2850. There's 2 people to Diamond right now, so maybe I'll try to be like maybe like the top 50 person to Diamond. I feel like that'd be pretty good. Okay, but we need to go. Let's go for the Goblin Machine, and then let's go for the Queen as well. Sell the P.E.K.K.A, go for the Giant. Okay, Goblin Machine last second clutch. Now we just need the Queen though. But yeah, this is okay. Like this is like a nightmare of a balance. Like this team is so broken. We need an emergency nerf ASAP. I mean, like, I don't know. Like these games at this point is like whoever maxes his comp out wins basically, which is not the most fun to play. Also, given the fact that 3 of these cards are still broken, the Wizard, Witch, or the Wizard. No, I guess 4 of these cards are broken. Wizard, Baby Dragon, Giant Skeleton, Witch. And then you also have the Skeleton Dragons, which are bugged. And I guess those cards are also really good. But where's my Archer Queen? Does somebody have... Oh. Oh, okay. Okay, so this might be a bit of a GG's, but honestly, Nightmare of Balance, I haven't been enjoying the season too much, to be honest, just because... I mean, the cards aren't balanced. And it's hard to, like, enjoy a game when the cards are just not balanced, because then you don't have as much flexibility with the comps. But this, obviously, we lost this game because that guy had the 3-star queen. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of the new balances. I don't know. It's pretty questionable how they basically nerfed, like, every single card. I don't really know what I think about that. I don't really like it, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. And until then, guys, I will see you in the next video. Peace.